Good afternoon. So, welcome to Hear the Raw podcast. This is Paul Schneider. I have with me today an amazing guy, and I've been really looking forward to this interview with David Schwartz. David is based in San Antonio, and I'll introduce David in just a second. As always, you can find Hear the Raw podcast on Amazon, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts, and all of the major podcast platforms. You can also follow us on TikTok on here_the_raw and on Instagram at here.the.raw, where you can also follow my current cancer journey, where I'm documenting and blogging my current journey daily through a recurrence of my previous cancer, and that's under the hashtag Paul's Journey. So without further ado, I just want to say that David Schwartz is joining us from San Antonio. David is the author of a book called Meeting Cancer Through Faith and Inspiration. That book is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and it's available via download for Kindle and hard and softback. I think it is also available on. So without further ado, David, hi.
Hello.
As always, please introduce yourself. Tell us all about who David Schwartz is, and then we'll come on to the cancer story shortly afterwards. Who is David Schwartz?
It's really an honor to be here with you, Paul. And my story is really pretty amazing. It starts before I had cancer. I was a pretty successful businessman that had everything going for me. And I had a 4,000 square foot house, three kids, two cars, and I developed a mental illness. And it took me down, and I ended up living in my car after that for about 6 weeks. This is before cancer.
Right.
So I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 mixed episode. So as you listen to me talk, you're going to know that not only do I deal with cancer on a daily basis, but I also deal with a devastating mental illness.
Right.
And I deal with both of those at the same time. So I was getting back to doing pretty good, and I had a sore on my mouth, and I'm very stubborn, and it would come and go. And my dad was a tough old German. He said just put salt on it. So I would do that. I put salt, put it on it, and it would burn like heck, but it seemed like it would help and go away.
Right.
But it went back and forth, and it got to a point where I could not even eat. I couldn't chew on that side of my mouth.
Wow.
So I went to, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go to the emergency room and get this taken care of. So I went to the emergency room,
Yeah.
and I finally got in to see the doctor. And I said, my tongue hurts. And she said, well, let me see it. And she got a light and everything. And I kicked back and she looked at my tongue. And when she came back and looked at me, I saw fear in her eyes. And she goes, I
Right.
really don't know exactly what that is, but I know it's not good. So and she got me with an ENT the next day. They did a biopsy. Now, what was really funny about this biopsy is it was on the very back of my tongue, top of my throat.
Yeah.
Uh, and I had one doctor grab my tongue with his hand, pull my tongue to the side, while the other guy took biopsies out of the side of my tongue. Blood
Yeah.
started spurting out of my mouth just from the biopsy.
Wow.
Because cancer tumors they bleed profusely.
Yes.
But once he did that, he was pretty sure that it was cancer. Well, 5 days later, my wife and I walked in to the doctor's office, and you could feel the chill in the air when the doctor walked in to give us the news. You could just see that the look on his face, his body language, just everything said, "Uh-oh, here we go. My
Yes.
journey's going to begin." Then he said, David, unfortunately, yes, you do have cancer. She started at stage 3, he said, from what they could see. Well, it then was upgraded to stage 4 because it metastasized to my lymph nodes, and they had
Yes.
to take all my lymph nodes out of my neck on top of the deal with my tongue.
Yes.
So, anyways, they gave me about a week to get everything put together, and I lost my job, I lost the house, we lost everything. With this diagnosis because I was on a independent agent, kind of the business paying. I didn't have insurance. So,
Right.
anyways, it broke us because of that, and we ended up living in the back bedroom of my parents' house. This was 11 years ago. I had met my wife, and thank God she stood by me through everything. And it's just been unbelievable what she's done to be by my side and promote me and to help me get through this. Has been unbelievable. But I went in for the surgery. It was a 15-hour surgery. The doctor went in and removed half my tongue, 45 lymph nodes, and they did what's called a full R&D, radical neck dissection. They cut me from the chin all the way to behind my neck and laid me
Yes.
open, cut my
Yeah.
tongue out and all the lymph nodes out. Well, lucky me, the doctor I got, he screwed up and he cut an artery. When he did that, and then he sewed me up over the artery that was bleeding. So a day later, they come to check on me. I'm in full hematoma. They had to rush me back into surgery for another 10 hours to reopen the wound and to flush out all the collected blood and then to patch
Wow.
me back up. So I had 25 hours of surgery in 3 days to
Wow.
start with. They took my teeth. They took all my bottom teeth out for the radiation,
Yeah.
and they left my top teeth in, and my top teeth are rotten out because of the radiation right now. And
Yeah.
I developed osteoradial necrosis, which is my jawbone is very slowly degenerating. It's non-curable. There's no way to cure it, but it's a slow-moving disease that I'm having to deal with. About once a year, they go in and scrape my jaw out and all the dead tissue. And
Yes.
then that's what they're doing right now. They have a mouthwash and some different things I do. But this is where my story gets interesting. I was down and out. I was, woe is me, why me, crying in my coffee, didn't want to get out of bed, thought the whole world was against me. I was in horrible shape. And my wife said, you know what? Let's get you on Facebook and get you with a support group. Well, what was great about that is I've been a writer. I've written short stories, poetry, and different things almost my whole life. I've been a writer. Nothing published, but I've got I've got a stack 6 foot tall of spiral notebooks that I've written, and even since I got the cancer. So, anyways, we got on there, and I started talking to people a little bit. And then one day, I said, you know what? I'm going to just tell my story in the way I did it. I got
Yes.
such a overwhelming uh, uh, people just telling me how great that my story was, how it impacted them, and all that. So I started writing a daily post of my story, where I come from, how I feel that day, and how to help other people. Well, I started with one group. It was called Survivors of Tongue Cancer. Started with that group, and then about every month, somebody listening to me would say, you know what, could you come to my group and tell your story in my group? I was like, you're such a positive guy. I think you would help the people in my group. All that grew and grew and grew. I was up to about 15 different groups that I was writing for every day.
Wow.
My day consists of, even right now, I get up at 12:30 a.m. and I go and I get my notebook and I write out what I need to. My day starts about 1 a.m. and then I write for, right now I've got 9 different groups, but
Yeah.
3 of them that I run. I've got a group called Let's Talk Cancer, My Friends, and one that's called Let's Talk Cancer, that are my group solely. And then I'm a moderator for support groups for patients and their families. And
Yeah.
all in all, that's a group of about 48,000 people that I write for. Plus, there's 7 other groups right now that I write for daily. And then I thought, you know what? Why don't I take what's happened to me and my writing ability and put it together? And I wrote this book, and it's gone over. I just, by the way, I just sold my 1,000th copy
Wow.
today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. And then I found out in publishing books, especially with Amazon, they have 33 million books published that they sell on the internet. online. My book has gotten down to number 17,000. Now that's the top
Wow.
0.0001% of all books that have been published on there. My book has sold more than many published books by Penguin or all these big publishers. My book has sold more than other authors, so I'm really proud of that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and that has really helped me as I help other people. It helps me to heal because
Yes.
I every day I'll get a comment from somebody that, you know what, Dave, I'm gonna be honest with you, you just saved my life. I didn't want to live until I read this, and now you know what, I've got some fire in my butt and I'm ready to meet this head on and get with it. So that every day that makes me feel, feel like a good person. My wife always just she's been by my side. I mean, like I said, because of the cancer, we lost everything. I
Yes.
mean, we had nothing, and we lived in the back bedroom of my parents' house, which was horrible. But
Yeah.
then we got enough together, and we moved out, got a little apartment, which we're just now. We've been here 10 years. We just now got a better apartment. We're moving upscale a little bit. We worked our butts off to get this done. And during this time, I also went back to college and I got a second bachelor's degree in psychology while
Wow.
while fighting cancer. So what I'm saying, there's a multitude of things. I had cancer where I was debilitated. I had to not only learn to eat again. I didn't eat
Yes.
solid food for a year and a half. I had to
Wow.
learn, teach myself to eat again, to talk again. You could not understand me at all. I had to teach myself to talk again. Literally, I had to teach myself to breathe again. Once they did the hematoma operation, I was on an iron lung breathing for me because I couldn't breathe for myself. And that's when my family came in and they saw that, and they just broke down because I had tubes coming out everywhere. And I just feel like, and now I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm active. I write. I've got a second book coming out. I've got all kinds of neat things happening. And I'm telling you, 10 years ago, I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't want to live. And to bring it to now, that's all 1,000 books. And me and my wife are doing much better. And we're moving up in the world. So I know that's kind of a long version, but that's who David Schwartz is. And that's my story.
That's amazing, David. So congratulations on all fronts there, by the way. The things I take away there, managing bipolar in amongst
Yep.
all of this, that's quite something. To back up what you're saying, or to share my side of your story there, is that I noticed your mindset. I joined the groups on Facebook a little while ago, and at the time I just noticed that David Schwartz was, commenting quite a lot, putting some amazing posts out, getting some amazing responses from the people in the groups. And I felt I wanted to be a part of those conversations. And I think slowly but surely you and I started talking and acknowledging, that I was posting and you were replying, etc. And then I realized you did have a story to tell. And I'm so pleased that I've got you here today. The one question I've got for you, what was your lifestyle previous to your cancer? Were you a smoker? Were you a drinker? What was
Yeah,
your
yeah, yes, I was. We partied a little bit. I met my wife almost 20 years ago now, and we would go out karaoke. And I was working for a major newspaper. This was really cool. I was making a lot of money, and I worked for. I traveled all over the country. I traveled to San Diego, California, and I ran the Union Tribune. I even ran the Los Angeles Times marketing specialty marketing department. I also in Houston. I've done 14 or 15 newspapers around the entire country, and I worked for a group called Barden Circulation, and we would sell subscriptions to the public, but they could get the paper delivered. What an interesting business that was. But we were doing very well, but yes, I mean I would work a 12-hour shift, and then we'd go to karaoke at night, drinking, smoking, and having a good time. And
yeah,
so yeah, I did have that going on. But
okay.
it's good to say that since it's happened, I haven't smoked a cigarette or touched a drink in 11 years.
Yeah, quite right. What and And so it was mouth and tongue cancer that you had, right? So half of your tongue was removed. By the way, your speech is amazing.
Thank you.
You talk about having to rehabilitate on being able to just, eat, talk, and I think you even said breathe, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
That's quite amazing. Your speech is quite phenomenal. It's interesting having someone else on the call here who has a slight speech impediment apart from myself.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody can understand us okay. Um, what happened after the surgery then? Did you go through a recovery period and then start radiotherapy, or did you have chemotherapy, or both?
I had radiation. I had radiation therapy for 35 rounds.
Right.
It was 7 weeks, 5 days a week. And let me tell you a little story about that. Is for the
Yeah.
first 2 weeks, I was what I say down here in Texas, cutting the fat hog in the ass. And what I mean by that is I was thinking radiation ain't nothing. And it was the first 2 weeks. Then week 3 hit. And then I started changing my mind a little bit because I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. The pain was excruciating and going
Yes.
through each radiation over and over. And I mean, I played college football when I was young. I'm about 6'4", about 260, and I was crying like a little baby because of the pain from the radiation and stuff. I went through the surgeries and the radiation. See, I've also had 6 or 7 subsequent surgeries to mold my tongue, to cut it off the bottom of my mouth, and do some other things in my mouth. Um,
What
so I,
what what were they, David? And sorry, what were those surgeries?
we would
What were
go
they
in,
for?
what they would do is go in, and they had my tongue sewed to the bottom of my mouth for the blood flow.
Right.
And then what he called is I wanted him to release my tongue to make it where I could again breathe and talk and eat and do things like that. So that was about 3 surgeries that he had to do to get my tongue released and keep the blood flow to where my tongue would be just flat. They took a muscle out of my left thigh and sewed it onto my half of the tongue that was left.
Yeah.
And then it's a hit or miss whether the blood flow is going to get there to where it doesn't die. I was
Right.
lucky enough to the surgeries were good and the blood got to my tongue. And I was able, like I said, to teach myself to do these things again. The other surgeries have been on my osteoarthritis necrosis. They've had to go in and scrape my jaw out and do some things
Yeah.
in there. And that's what's been going on. I thought other surgeries coming with that. I also, when he went in to do the surgery, the doctor cut it's called my 11th cranial nerve when he had did the radical neck dissection. And what that does is that nerve goes straight from my brain to my muscles right here in my shoulder. So
Right.
at that, my muscles don't work anymore in my shoulder. So I have major chronic pain in my shoulder that I take morphine for every day just to survive. So
Yes.
this has been it's been a rough ride, man. But it's also taught me how to love better, how to be a better person, a better dad, a better all around kind of guy to go through this than what I was before. So I credit cancer for actually saving my life in a lot of respects. The smoking and the drinking, you could have got horrible cancers from the smoking. Other than this, because this as you know, this disease, this problems here, they're not as deadly as some cancers, but it affects your life more than other cancers because you're dealing with your way you talk and smell and all the stuff that has to do with your face. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, I yes I did, but no more, and I I'm moving on, my friend.
You
I'm
absolutely are. You absolutely are. So David, so just talk about the work side of things for a second. So, you were working up until the point of diagnosis,
yes.
and then I'm assuming you were told, look, David, you're going to be off work for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever it was. What happened there, and what happened in terms of support from your employers? Did
My
they was
job
that not there, and is that how the work fell away, or?
Yeah, but the work fell away because the job I had was a sales job, talking to people. I couldn't
Yeah.
talk anymore, so therefore I lost the job. Um, my cancer was bad enough, and the things I was going through, that I qualified for disability, which is what I live on. My wife works, God bless her soul, and I get a pretty good disability check because I put a lot into it. Um, it when I was working, I was making a lot of money and put a lot of money into it, so I'm getting a lot of money back in disability on a
Yeah.
monthly basis to where we can live. So that's been a big help. Sometimes I drive for Uber, which I deliver food. I'll do
Okay.
that. Yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
that to make extra money. But I concentrate on my book sales for extra money to come in, and uh, and then that's how our income works right now. I can still,
You
like, I can keep talking like this for about another 30 or 45 minutes, and then it gets to where you can't understand my. I start getting tired.
I
But
understand. I
yeah,
understand.
yeah, so that's what happened. But yeah, I lost everything, and then had to slowly get back into it, and make a little money here with my book and the disability and the different things that I do. So it makes a good living for us where we can move up in the world and get a better apartment. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, good luck to you. The look, cancer, like for myself, has changed me. It's changed my life. You know, I now work in the cancer world, the podcast being just a small part of what I do. How different are you now after, from before your cancer journey to after your cancer journey? What are the biggest changes in you, David, that are worth sharing? You know, because a lot of people have said to me, Paul, you must see the light world so differently now. You must think so differently. And I think, 2 years ago, I would say I don't agree with that. But as time's going on, I do. And
Yeah,
that is changing and evolving continually for me. What's your version of that?
yeah. Like I say, I really think, I believe cancer saved my life in a lot of respects, and it's made me get up in the morning, and I'm happy to get up. Instead of being crabby, and I'm a morning person now. I mean, everything I do everything I do is excuse me, is wonderful now. Going outside, seeing the birds, going and having dinner, especially what I live for now with my grandkids. I had
Yeah.
3 children, um, and they are now in their early 30s, and they are having grandchildren. I have four and one on the way.
Wow.
So they're my life now. I'm fixing to take one after we get done here. I'm fixing to take my 7-year-old granddaughter to go see a movie. So I just life has become life. It's not just something to get through. It's something to enjoy and something to love every day. And you can see in my writing how that affects me personally. It helps me when I write to other people, and they tell
Yes.
me that I've helped them. Oh, that just makes the whole world to me is just wonderful. But
Yes.
yeah,
And what was the hardest part? I mean, it's a really hard question to answer, I think this really, but for anyone. But what's been the hardest part about your journey? Was it the fact that you've had to readjust from a breathing, eating, and talking point of view? Because that will have social anxieties attached to that, right?
absolutely.
Um, yeah, so that in itself becomes a life challenge. As well as the journey itself being hard, it clearly has, and amazing that you share it in such a great way, by the way, which is how we obviously found each other. But
Absolutely.
what was the hardest part for you that you've had to deal with? Was it the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual?
The hardest the hardest part after I got cancer and after all the surgeries and after all that's happened is to I had to rebuild myself. And what I mean by that is, before cancer, I was always like the number one guy in every company that I worked for. I rose to the number one guy very quickly. I mean, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I could, and I would rise in the sales ranks all the way to number one. Then I would become the district manager and then the regional. And I did that over and over for companies.
Yeah.
And the hardest part to start after cancer was I was just a regular guy. I didn't have 50 people that worked for me that looked up to me, and I was their mentor and train them and teach them how to do the business and all that. I couldn't do that anymore. So that was tough on me because I was just a regular Joe now. And until I found, I said, you know what? I've got writing ability and I've got a story to tell. And
Yes.
that's when I got on Facebook with the cancer groups. Started with that, they built up, and then the book came in, and then I got my degree, and I just started doing. Went to the gym, and I rebuilt my life. But the hardest part was not having that that title, I guess, as the head guy or the big dog that people looked up to.
Yes. We've mentioned your support groups a few times, and I talking from experience. So I had thyroid cancer when I was 21, and
Wow.
I remember after that journey, I looked back very soon after that journey, thinking how lonely I felt. I was the first person in my entire family to get cancer that I was aware of. I was a young guy. No one in my family knew what to do. I was totally alone. I got through it, and to be honest, I got through it with quite easily actually. But the what I took away from that was the loneliness and the who do I go to, and the fact that I had no one there to talk to. And this is going back 26 years, 27 years. Facebook wasn't around.
Right,
The
right.
support groups were, well, if you could find them, then well done. But the support groups on Facebook are incredible. Now, support is such a massive part of what we need. I don't care what anyone says. There are people that bury their head, that don't want to talk to anybody, that don't want it discussed, don't want it to be public knowledge. I couldn't disagree more with that strategy.
Right.
And what I will say to people is that on most Facebook groups, there is the ability to join them anonymously, if I'm not mistaken. So you
Yes,
don't have
yes.
to, yeah, so you don't have to reveal your identity. But the amount of first of all, the fact that you've got 48,000 members in your groups speaks volumes for what you do. Um, and I've been part of some conversations on those groups that have helped me immensely. So I guess where I'm going here really is the message to anyone listening here is if you don't know where to go, you surely must be on social media. Get yourself on Facebook and look up specific groups, head and neck cancer groups, mouth cancer groups, tongue cancer groups, whatever it is you have in terms of a cancer, because they are doing wonders for people like myself. And David is running some phenomenal groups. And the conversations I see going on, the positivity, the results that people are getting from it are just simply incredible. So I just wanted to get that message out there, David.
I would like to give you some kudos also for what you're doing, and the people you're going to help doing this podcast. Man, I give you all kind of credit, my man, and I really appreciate what you're doing also.
Thank you very much. What how were you affected from a friends and family point of view? This is something I talk about quite a lot, David, because there are those people that are just simply amazing that you don't expect to be amazing through your
Right,
journey.
right,
There are
right.
people that are, if I'm honest, quite shit, excuse my language. But that can
Absolutely.
also sometimes be not because they're horrible or because they're intentionally being that way. They just don't know what to do, right? And,
Right.
and I for one, fully understand that. And there are people that are actually a letdown. What was your experience of that, David? And how's it changed your relationships?
My my mom and dad have were amazing. They really were. My wife has been amazing. I mean, it's brought us closer together. If you can believe that, it absolutely has. She's been by my side the whole time. My parents have been very supportive. The guys excuse me, the guys I used to play football with have been very supportive. Excuse me.
Yeah.
um, During this time, I got another thing that hit me. My best friend 6 years ago um, was picking his son up from a baseball game. This is my ride or die blood brother. A tree fell on him and killed him, and I
Sorry, say
lost
that again,
him.
David. Sorry, say that again.
I said a tree fell on. He was driving by. It was just a normal day, and a tree fell on him and killed him.
Oh
He was
wow.
50 years old, and he was my ride or die, my best friend, and so I had to deal with that also. In fact, I'm fixing to head up to Dallas in about a week or so and go see him. It'll be the 6th anniversary of his death. I go to his gravesite every year on the anniversary that it happened, and I go see him. He was major support. He actually, when I got the surgery done, he actually drove all the way from Dallas, which is about 300 miles,
Wow.
just to see me and say hi. And then he had to drive 300 miles back for his job. So he did that in one day just to come see me, just to say hi. And so that's the kind of friend that had my back, and I lost him. So that was rough. But I have other guys on the team that I played with in the spectacular. All just wonderful people. There's been a few of people that have kind of melted and off into the darkness, but they really weren't that close to me. But the
Right.
close people to me, my couldn't be luckier to have the wife and parents I do, um, because I got all kinds of a great support system from them. And being on the kind of the outer fringes of the guys I played ball with, they're always helping me out. Like once a year, we go watch the guys. I play at Texas State football, American football, and
Yeah.
we go once a year, like to homecoming or something. And they're just wonderful to me. They just kind of they group around me and they like look over me and like they're my caretaker, make sure I'm okay. And it's really nice. But that's been um, my experience with that. It's really
Okay.
been mostly positive.
In the UK, we have a very different system here. As you probably well know, we have the NHS,
Right,
a free
right.
national health system. That's a whole different conversation in
Yeah,
itself, just the NHS. However, everybody here is entitled to free health service. There are pros and cons to that. There are
yeah,
good and bad as a result of that. But they were amazing for me. I have to be honest. They're very good at compartmentalizing, and they are extremely good at getting you in, treated, saving your life, and getting you out. Where we're struggling here from a health system point of view is the results or the effect of survivorship.
right,
Survival rates are so high that survivorship and the agony, pain, late effects that come with that are a problem here.
right,
However, we are still entitled to free healthcare. In the US, it's clearly quite different, and you talk about ultimately the cost of your journey affecting
right.
you financially so much. What happened there, David? Then, if you don't mind me asking, so you were diagnosed. You said you didn't have insurance. What
Right.
happens at that point then?
Okay.
What?
The thing that happened was really good. They have some programs here in the USA that are able to help people that don't have insurance.
Right,
And you just have to get on the internet and you have to get with hospitals and you have to go find them. And there's there if you have the wherewithal and the hard work to find there are things in place to help people that don't have insurance. So my mom and my wife, when I was going through this, not only got me set up with a disability, but they went through everything and got everything figured out, as far as finding me um, a way to get this done and not not pay $1 million for everything. It was enough to where I mean I've got so many doctor bills and hospital bills and things that I still need to pay, but they're not
really?
anything compared to what it would have been if I didn't get a program that helped me through with this cancer. The doctors, I was also part of the teaching hospital. And what I mean by that is everything they did, they had 4 to 6 people training in the hospital, which I would have to agree to. And if I would agree to it, they wouldn't charge. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
that was what I also did some of that to help pay for the bills and stuff.
Yes.
So that's how that. But it's affected me financially. I was making 6 figures or more, working for this marketing group as far as newspapers around the country. I was making a couple thousand a week, and I was doing just fine.
Yeah.
Um, but they didn't have insurance, and then I couldn't talk to people, so I lost the job. I lost all my income, just cut immediately zero, from 2,000 a week to zero a week, and
Wow.
we lost the house we were living in, and so we had, like I said, moved back in with my parents, which was a nightmare. I won't go into that's another story into itself. But my wife stood by my side. She's been wonderful, and my parents have been wonderful. And my kids also. I didn't say this. My kids, they come around. They were very scared. My daughter was going to be a nurse until she
Right.
saw me. She went in after my operation, my hematoma operation. She came in and saw me, and that ended it for her. She did not want to be a nurse anymore because of the way
Wow.
I looked. Yeah, yeah. So it's had some things, but my kids are now they support everything I'm doing. They're wonderful to me. My kids are doing very well. And my oldest son just now he has his own restaurant that he is the main man. He's the managing partner of one of the biggest pizza and beer chains in the United States. He's a managing
Wow.
partner of one. He just went to his grand opening this weekend. So I'm just so excited about that. He's wonderful. My other son's doing well. My daughter, although she's not a nurse, she did get into the medical business, and she does work in a medical office. So I think that's good. She got over me a little bit. She's doing what she loves to do. And like I said, she just had a baby. My little baby girl, she's this big, and she's like 3 weeks old now. So I'm just in love with her. Oh my God. And I'm taking my 7-year-old granddaughter to the movies today. So they run my life now. I'm just loving it. And if you can look for the good in things, the
Yes.
good things will find you. And that's just what I do every day.
And do you know what? That's a nice link into my next question, actually. Look, David, you're such an inspirational guy. You really are. Just the way you come across on Facebook. I've loved talking to you today. I've loved talking to you prior to today. Your energy is quite something. And I think that's for me, that's the important part of this interview. You've clearly got a mindset that needs to be shared in terms of applying it. You clearly used it and in your post cancer days. And what I think I want to get from you is, you clearly had a tough time through your radiation treatment. You said that.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough not to have such a tough time. Although don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean it was easy. But I think compared to most, I had a better time. What got you through that, David? Because I know it's dark. I know it's white knuckle at sometimes. You're
Mm-hmm.
holding on. You really are. I do know that. What got you through?
My wife, I was being a crybaby one day. And I said, I don't want to go to my appointment today. I got to get out of my appointment. I don't want to go to radiation. I don't want to be burned today. And she said, buck up, boy. Let's go. And I did and got through it. And she pushed me to get through all that. And it was a rough deal, man, because I'm a big guy. I got down to 160 pounds and I'm 6'4". I
Wow.
was a whale. I mean, I was very, very thin. And yeah, I didn't eat food for 18 months. I had to sit and watch Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had to watch everybody eat, which was fine.
Oh God, yeah.
And I also, listen to this though, I'm also a good cook. So I would help cook Thanksgiving and cook the Christmas dinners. And I cooked for people all the time because I love to cook. And I
Yeah.
did that during my time that I couldn't eat. I would cook dinners for everybody and I couldn't eat them. So
Wow.
that was kind of interesting, but I
Yeah.
always try to use the positives of what's going on. He gets the positive, he gets the positive, and that's how I got through it. And I had my wife kick me in the ass one time. She had to kick me and say, "Get in the car and let's go and get it over with." And when I got through that day, I was okay. That was probably the middle of week 3 or almost to week 4
Yeah,
when
halfway
things
through,
were
yeah.
really, really, really. I mean, my neck had blisters, my tongue had the flap of my tongue blistered all over the inside of my mouth, just popping and oh my God, food. I tried to eat something that tasted like gasoline. It was just what a horrible experience radiation was. But she
Yes.
got me through it with a swift kick in the butt, and I got through it. And there you go. So that's what the support system got me through that dark time.
And that's great to hear. And what so you've got the shoulder
Uh-huh.
issue, which is where they
Uh-huh.
cut your cranial nerve.
Right.
That's from the surgery. Have you got any, and you've got the jaw, I guess it's a softening of the jaw, isn't it? That
Yeah,
continues to
yeah,
happen.
it's actually it makes the job brittle. And what happens is
Yeah,
it it'll just your my jaw one day is just going to crack. And what it
right.
normally does, it cracks right here. And they have to go in. They take a bone out of they take a bone out of my femur, out of my
Yeah,
leg, and then they rebuild my jaw with it. I mean, I already know what's going to happen. But they also right now they're I always ask my pain doctor when I go see him and my ENT what's new on the market. I want to know what's new and what can be done with what's going on. And
yes,
they're starting to do some plastic stuff for people with osteoarthritis necrosis, rebuild with plastic in your jaw instead of taking a bone out of your leg. So there's
right.
some good things happening as far as that. As my shoulder pain, I go in, I get what's called trigger point injections. What
Yeah.
that is because the severed nerve, we can go to the moon, quite honestly, but we can't fix a cranial nerve. There's
I know,
yeah,
I know,
medically, they just can't fix it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You can go to
yeah,
the moon, you can't fix a nerve.
I
But
know.
anyway, so every time I go in there, about once every 3 months, I have what's called trigger point injections. They take a 5-inch needle and they put a gel-like substance, and then they go in and try to find the nerve endings that are hurt, and then they
Yeah,
shoot that gel on them to try to so the nerves doesn't fire like normal. They kind of it calms them down. So sometimes you're better than others, but I get that done 4 times a year. At trigger point injection, it is a painful process. There's
yeah,
no, they don't put me under, and there's no local anesthesia. They just take that needle and they pop it in there, and then they move the needle around with a sonogram or a sonogram machine.
yes,
They
yes.
find the nerves with that, try to hit the nerves with that. And so and then they hit me once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. They'll hit me around the shoulder to try to calm those nerves down. It does help me for 2 to 3 weeks, where my pain goes from a 7 down to a 3, which is
Right.
to me that's almost a zero the way I'm in pain all the time. But
Yes.
it does help for a while. Then it goes back up. And then I got to get it done again. And there's just nothing yet that, that they can do to fix that nerve. So I'm gonna have to do that until something comes out.
And is there anything else that you yeah, even small symptoms that you suffer with as late effects? I've got various things that have kicked in and have started to happen as a result of late effects from radiotherapy. So, is there anything else that you suffer with, even in a minor way?
All my teeth are rotten. I had to
Right.
go to the emergency room the other day because I got a mouth infection, and he cut out 2 teeth, but I still have. They're just the radiation just killed them. They're just dead teeth. So I'm seeing my ENT next month, and I'm gonna get all the rest of my teeth pulled and get dentures, and that's my main goal now is to do that, is to get dentures or get implants, which I wish I could afford, but man, those things are expensive. But and the other thing about insurance here in America is called Medicare for people that are disabled or retirees. They do nothing dental. They only do medical and dental. They will not touch you. So everything has to be out of pocket to get the dental part done.
Right.
And I mean, we make some okay money enough to live nice, but we don't make enough money to spend 15 or 20 thousand dollars on getting my mouth fixed. So I do need to get those pulled, and then I'll be. I've learned to eat like a normal person with my gums. I've
Yes.
learned to do it. I mean, I can't eat certain things like chips or salads or different things like that. But I've learned how to eat a hamburger, and I've learned how to eat fish, and even a good filet mignon steak. I'll devour that baby. I've learned how to eat like that. So, but I taught myself how to do that too. So it's been real interesting.
And they do some good steaks in San Antonio, do they?
Hell yeah, boy, you got that right. Yeehaw.
Look, David, I can't thank you enough for today. You and I are going to continue talking quite clearly, and obviously, I absolutely will come to you and talk to you about with what's going on with me at the moment. I could
Please
certainly,
do.
I will. I could certainly do with you imparting some of your amazing mindset onto me. So, I'm really grateful. I just want to say again to everybody listening, the book that David has written is Meeting Cancer Through Faith and Inspiration. It is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble stores. It's available for download onto Kindle and hardback. Please do download it. It's clearly selling very well. I like to end this usually with what I call the nugget session, David. You
Mhm.
know, one, two, or three golden nuggets that you can provide anyone that's listening that is about to go into a cancer journey, is currently going through a cancer journey, based on your own experience. Three or two, one, or whatever it is, golden nuggets that you can pass on. What are they?
I would say number one, to put your faith in God, and that's really helped me through big time. My faith has. Another is when you get up, you've got you've got a chance to do one of two things, and there's only two things you can do. You can either be positive or you can be negative. It
Yeah,
takes just as much energy to do positive as it does negative. So use that energy, start the day off positive, say a prayer, and move forward. And that's how I get up every day. And also another thing though is do something that you love to do, a hobby, a job, something that that when you go to bed, you can think, I can't wait to get up and go do that. Those would be the three things I would tell people. If you can do those three things every day, you're going to be okay, no matter what the situation. And like I said, I'm dealing with a very, very detrimental mental illness as well as dealing with the cancer and the pain I'm in. So if you think you got it bad, just look at other people. They got it worse than you sometimes, guys. And you can do it, man. Just those three things is what I would say, Paul.
David, fantastic. Those are great nuggets. Thank you. I will speak to you. So look, thanks again, David. This is we'll speak. This is Hear the Raw podcast. I'm Paul Schneider. That was David Schwartz from San Antonio. Thanks again, David.
Thank you, Paul.
Um,
Appreciate it.
you can find us on, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Google, and most other podcast platforms. You can also follow us on here.the.raw. That's on Instagram, and here_the_raw on TikTok, where you can also follow my current cancer journey under the hashtag Paul's Journey. And look forward to the next podcast with everyone. David, thanks again.
We'll talk again, Paul. All right. Bye.